think we're rolling. Just let the participants enter. Okay, welcome everyone. It's that time again. It's the Lenovo Smart Collaboration Technology Club. This is the September 2024 edition with Jean Poupard, Mauro Bussano, and myself, Sean Langley. So, on the agenda for today, there's lots of exciting stuff, as you can imagine, for those of you who tuned in before in previous technology clubs. Of course, please feel free to ask any questions in the Q&A, related or non-related to the content as we go through it. Of course, if you want a copy of previous technology club decks, please send a request to any one of the three of us and we'll be happy to send them. And after this webinar, there'll be a link to the recording and a copy of the slides that have been presented today for future reference. So let's have a look at the table of contents. Of course, we like to always start with a recap on the Smart Collaboration portfolio and latest updates to that. Then we're going to move into ThinkSmart Manager. We're going to talk about vPro Remote Desktop versus the Pro Management Portal Remote Access, pros and cons. vPro Hardware KVM, how to access the BIOS. And then vPro Sierra and endpoint actions. So an interesting topic to cover there for those of you not familiar with Sierra and how that is relevant for Intel vPro. Then in the third chapter, we're going to look at the new Microsoft Teams Rooms features, multi-camera setup, and then cross-platform meetings via SIP join. And then chapter 4, Mauro's going to take over and share with us some tips and tricks. So how to re-image an MTR system remotely, how to keep ThinkSmart Manager client up to date, latest firmware updates, and a nice one on how to distribute BIOS firmware through Intune. And then last, but by no means least, we're going to talk about how best to engage with Lenovo Premier support. There's a lot of important topics in that there, just a few slides, but just re-emphasizing the best method and the importance of approaching Premier support with any issues that you may encounter. So without further ado, let's get cracking. First topic here is going to be products that are going end of life since August the 1st. So you can see at the top here, we have an end of life. That is the ThinkSmart Bar XL. ThinkSmart Bar XL is the model that comes with the 2 mic pods. That now, instead of the Bar XL, we have the option of the Bar 180 or the ThinkSmart Bar on its own, no mic pods. So the Bar XL is end of life as of now. Of course, that also relates to the core full room kit that previously had the Bar XL included in it. That is now end of life. The core compute, of course, is not. This is just related to the Bar XL. So instead of, you can now get a core kit with a Bar 180 or with a normal ThinkSmart bar and a ThinkSmart cam as well. So it's just that Bar XL that's end of life. Important to note, though, we will continue to support the end of life models throughout their full warranty period. So rest assured, if you've got devices there today, they're still under warranty and support. Nothing would change there, just we won't be manufacturing any more Bar XLs. Products that are going to be reaching end of life on October the 15th. So that's the ThinkSmart Core and controller. That's USB or IP, the Zoom rooms only, or the ThinkSmart Core, as you see the 2 icons there. USB controller, IP controller. Important to note, this is Zoom rooms only from October the 15th. They will, of course, be replaced eventually. This is going to be in March 2025 with the 2nd generation ThinkSmart Core Gen 2. Of course, available in both controller variants, the IP controller or the USB controller. So that's just a quick note on the Zoom Rooms core setup there. So let's have a look at the portfolio as it stands today. Got some nice looking slides covering all of the products. The ThinkSmart Dock, or the official name is the ThinkPad Universal USB-C Smart Dock ThinkSmart Edition. That is now in our portfolio. A bit of a mouthful, that one, but I'll probably end up calling it the ThinkSmart Dock. But of course, let's get its correct name out there. Then we have our fully fledged room systems, the ThinkSmart Core and controller, the ThinkSmart One, and the ThinkSmart Hub. See, we have our room size categories along the bottom there. Nice, easy to see graphics, so you can quickly position a product to see what space it might fit in. Of course, bring your own device docking spaces. We've got it down for small and medium, but that could go into any space you want, because there may be, I don't know, like a podium or something like that. You want to have a bring your own device solution in there. It's going to be absolutely fine. It just depends on the peripherals that are connected to it. But more on the dock shortly coming up. So ThinkSmart Tiny Kit is another new addition this month. This is an entry-level MTR on Windows solution. It's cut back in features to reflect its budgetary price, but still a fully capable Teams Room solution that will support a single camera, single display, and HDMI ingest via the USB to HDMI ingest dongle that comes with that. Typically, expect to see that again in small and medium-sized meeting rooms. Next up, ThinkSmart Cam. Been going strong for a long time now, still in the portfolio. An affordable 4K camera with AI zooming and framing capabilities. Great features set for that price point. And then the ThinkSmart Bar 180. So a lot more intelligent features on board with that device. Great for small and medium-sized meeting rooms, and particularly meeting rooms that might have a wider field of view. Because of its 180-degree field of view, that can be great, and you can narrow that down from 180 degrees down to 90 degrees if you wish to do so. It's a really flexible product, and some great tiling modes in the video and stuff like that available now. ThinkSmart View Plus, so that's an all-in-one solution for Microsoft Teams shared display. Huddle rooms, offices can be used in virtual front desk mode for any unattended spaces to connect to a call on there. So, and of course, it can be used as a bring your own device docking station. So all-in-one 27-inch monitor for Teams devices. And then the Google Series 1 Room Kit, incredibly popular. Robust and just a great looking device for small, medium, large and extra large rooms and spaces. So let's start with the Smart Dock. We've talked about this on previous technology clubs. It's now being released. It will be available, I guess, in distribution in the next few weeks. I've had one. Maro, John and I have all had one. We've been playing around with it, putting it through its paces and just understanding a bit more of it, because, we get the information and data up front, but until you've actually got a product in front of you, connect it up in our labs and, enroll it in the Smart Dock console and stuff like that. It's just really get a feel for it and, see the benefits of using a product like this. Key thing, it's a bring your own device dock, so it's device agnostic. You can plug any type of laptop into it, and then the laptop will then output its display through the dock via a single USB-C cable. It will get charging from the dock, and then it will be able to take control of any peripherals that are connected to the dock as well. So you just run any UC software platform on your laptop and then utilize the dock and then the in-room peripherals in there to have your meeting. We like cable retention at Lenovo. ThinkSmart Core has great cable retention, as does the ThinkSmart Dock and the ThinkSmart One as well. Here we have a modular cable retention sort of cage, if you like, on there. As you can see from the diagram, there's an exploded diagram of how the dock is assembled. It does come in a few parts when it's in the box, but it's very quick and easy to assemble and put together. Of course, you can use the dock on its own without the cable retention cage or slots, if you like, but certainly for optimal installation and performance, have it all together, can tie down the cables nice and neatly. It can be secured under a desk, which would be a good location, or potentially behind display. Really depends on the room size and layout. There's an integrated power supply cage that goes on the side, and then two-part mounting bracket. So one part goes to the wall and the other part goes on the dock. Very similar to the ThinkSmart Core mounting solution. Great advantage of the dock, it's powered by Azure Sphere. That means you can use a Lenovo Smart Dock console. So if you put the dock on the network, it can then start sending telemetry to the Smart Dock console, and you can get data about utilization, bulk automatic processes for support and maintenance, like firmware updates and stuff like that. And of course, it would defend against security threats and data breaches. In terms of spec, as I mentioned, there's a 2-meter USB-C cable that's connecting from the dock to your laptop. There's a specific port that needs to plug into, more on that on the next slide. And there's also a 5-meter HDMI 2.0 cable included for connecting the dock to the display. It's a nice, chunky, thick HDMI cable, so it should be quite burst, getting damaged easily. But of course, you know, cables will last as long as well as they're treated and stuff there. It will support two 4K monitors, one via HDMI output connection, the other one by DisplayPort connection. One, of course, is recommended for optimum compatibility, and typically in these spaces, we imagine just a single monitor setup, but the option is there for two, of course. 6 USB ports for connecting peripherals and whatever you want to connect to it. The USB-C connection uses display alt mode, and of course, Microsoft Sphere, as I mentioned, and then up to 60 watts of charging for your laptop that's connected to it. So let's have a closer look at the ports on the back. So we've highlighted some overlays just to indicate what we'd expect, typical devices and where they're going to be connected to. So start on this left-hand graphic here. This is actually the front of the dock if you were looking at it in front of you, but typically it's going to be mounted horizontally or something like vertically on the wall. We've got a USB-A port for peripherals, going to be cam mic speaker, a USB-C port, again, peripherals. It will also do 5-volt, 3 amps. You can charge stuff with it. And then a typical analog 3.5mm combo audio jack port on the front. And then round the back, this all-important USB-C port. This is the one you would connect the included 2-meter USB-C to USB-C cable for connected to a laptop. DC power in, typical yellow tip power supply, 135-watt power supply comes with that. 2 video outputs. There's DisplayPort 1.4, 4K 60 out there, and then HDMI output there, HDMI 2.1, 4K 60 again. And then we've got 4 more USB ports for peripherals, gigabit Ethernet port for connecting to networks. So nice and simple to connect, lots of different options. You can load it up with many different devices on there as we've been testing it over the recent weeks. And of course, get it enrolled in Smart Dock Console, very important. Just want to clarify on an accessory cable. So there's a 5-meter Lenovo video bar, and it's a 2.0 cable. It cannot be used to connect the laptop to the Smart Dock. It's only used to connect the ThinkSmart Bar 180 to the Smart Dock. But remember, this is a 2.0 cable. More on that in a second. This optional 5.5-meter USB cable is a 2.0 USB-A to C. It does not support DisplayPort alt mode. That's the technology required to access the displays from the laptop, hence that USB-C to USB-C cable that comes in the box. Also, the laptop still has to be connected through the included Smart Dock box. That's the 2-meter cables I mentioned, and you get that power delivery to the laptop. Despite the standard Smart Dock with 135-watt power adapter, it can deliver 100 watts to the laptop. ThinkSmart Edition, though, has a longer USB-C cable to connect to the laptop, thus reducing the power to 60 watt. But just think as that 60 watt as that golden charging figure for the majority of laptops. When the optional 5-meter cable is used to connect the ThinkSmart Bar 180, just bear in mind there's one feature that's not going to be available: dynamic composition. That requires USB 3.0 because there's higher bandwidth transfer down the cable. So 2.0, of course, is going to be throttled at its bandwidth speed on there, but 3.0, you've got plenty of headroom to send dynamic composition. 2 versions, a single stream, both a standalone bring your own device on MTR and Zoom room setups, 4 close-up views of people in the room, and shoulder shot like you can see now. And then there's multi-stream that's available for MTR setups only. So up to 2 close-up views and 1 full room view in 3 separate video streams. Allows face recognition. You can see the graphics there, just indicating those. But the key thing is that 5-meter cable bar, it's USB 2.0. So limited feature set. You're not going to get dynamic composition working with the Bar 180 with that. So the Smart Dock console provisioning flow. So there's a few steps involved to get the device provisioned to the Smart Dock console. I'm not going to go through every single one on here. There's an admin guide, there's a user guide, and there's also a great video on provisioning, which will come up shortly. But most importantly, first thing you need to do, you need to create an account on the Smart Dock console. It's free, it's easy to use, takes 2 seconds to do that. Then you will, when you create that account, you will create an organization. It's similar to ThinkSmart Manager in a way. Once you're logged in, go over the icon, organization settings, and you click copy to copy that organization ID. Very important. Download the provisioning tool, and then you can unzip the tool, and there are 2 files in that tool. One of them is the IT admin's installation file. You launch that tool, create a configuration file, network options, stuff like that, and you will copy in that organization ID of your thing. Then it will generate an output file, which is a .lsd file that needs to be copied to program data, Lenovo Smart Dock Connect, or if you do not see the Smart Dock folder in there, also check the URL below, users, user, app data, local, Lenovo Smart Dock Connect. I've found it in there, put that file in there, and then the other tool will be in the provisioning folder, and you unzip the Smart Dock Connect. Connect your PC to the Smart Dock using the cable, that 2-meter USB-C cable, very important. Launch Smart Dock Connect, and then you click Start Provision. Takes a few minutes, and then the device will then be provisioned to the Smart Dock console, to your organization, and then you will be able to see it in there and start managing and administering it. It's pretty easy to do. It can be done, in different deployment methods and stuff like that. But I advise, read the admin guide, check out the video for more information on that. So,
this video will instruct IT admins and end users on the steps they need to take to set up the Lenovo Smart Dock. First, IT admins should create an account in the Smart Dock Management Console. Go to smartdock.lenovo.com. Follow the instructions to create an admin account, and after logging in, create your organization. Under your organization settings, copy down your organization ID and download the provision tools. The IT admin will get 2 files. The Smart Dock Connect admin's tool will be installed on the IT admin's computer and used to create the configuration file. The Smart Dock Connect file will be installed on the end user's PC and used to provision a new dock. In the Smart Dock Connect admin's tool, input your network configuration and organization ID. If you enable silent mode, the provision process will run automatically and silently. Make sure the configurations you input are correct. Click Export. Create the password when prompted and click Save to create the file. IT admin should now deploy Smart Dock Connect and configuration file to the end user's PC. Make sure the file is saved to Local App Data, Lenovo, Smart Dock Connect. When the end user connects a new Smart Dock, if the configuration file was not deployed in silent mode, the UI will automatically launch. Users must follow the UI to start the provision. Users will be given 2 options to start provision based on their location. Clicking I'm at my organization's office will not allow users to input any configurations. Clicking I'm at home will allow the user to input their home network configuration. When provisioning is complete and silent mode is not enabled, users will see a completion message. They can also check their device LED to understand the status. To learn more about Lenovo Smart Docks, go to support.lenovo.com.
There we go. So quick and easy, very straightforward to do. So just cover off very briefly other products in the portfolio. Won't spend too much time on this. We've gone over before. Hopefully all of you are very familiar with them. Of course, want any specific information about that, do feel free to reach out to us. But plenty of info can be found on psref.com. That's product reference specifications. So all Lenovo products on there. But yeah, ThinkSmart core and controller. As we know, a fully modular solution, compatible with the USB or IP controller, available bundled with a Bar 180 or ThinkSmart Cam, ThinkSmart Bar, or standalone controller and compute to match up with peripherals of your choice. Highly scalable, very efficient, purpose-built meeting room compute for Teams and Zoom rooms. IP controller, just a quick tip on this. When you connect it up, connect the Ethernet cable before powering up the link box, transcoder, PoE injector, whatever you want to call it. This will avoid any potential issues you could get with electrostatic discharge. Pretty much goes without saying, cables and stuff connecting first, power supplies last, but just want to re-emphasize that point because that has been flagged a couple of times by people. Never seen it happen, had a problem with it before myself, but always Ethernet cables first, power up afterwards. ThinkSmart One, the world's first and only all-in-one bar on Windows, purpose-built for small and medium-sized meeting rooms on the ThinkSmart Core, same chipset architecture. Of course, again, available with the IP controller or the USB controller there. How to check the ThinkSmart One audio firmware. We released a major update, an audio overhaul, shall we say, to the microphone pickup range. Just the overall audio algorithm was improved on the ThinkSmart One. This is being pushed up via Windows Update, but just to check to ensure you've got it. It should have been pushed out automatically. You can quickly have a look in Device Manager. This is in German, I believe, by the looks of it, but that would be, human interface devices, HID, Lenovo USB input device. Double click that, and that will open up the driver details. You can check that it's on that 1.32.11.44 version. It all should be automatically, but just check, if you do encounter, you're feeling the audio is a little bit below par, check that driver is up to date on there, and that should resolve any issues. So next up, we have the ThinkSmart Tiny Kit. In addition to the family, entry-level Microsoft Teams rooms only. It's targeting customers that huddle small sized. Maybe they've got bring your own device solutions in there at the moment. They want to move across and transition into Teams rooms, but they're just budget might be of an issue or something like that. This is a low cost solution, as you can see, priced over $1,000. Comes with a USB controller only, and it comes with an HDMI to USB dongle for ingest. This is a certified dongle, so others won't work. You need to use the one that comes included in the kit. It's an entry-level MTR, and as I mentioned at the top, it will do everything that we're doing now. Like share content, view video streams from others. You just limit the feature set on Teams rooms you might have from in-room. But for the majority of typical meetings that people do in meeting rooms day to day, this will cover all of it. But just bear in mind, single front of room display, single camera. Doesn't support intelligent cameras, doesn't support content cameras. Any other, typical certified cameras, microphones, speakers will be absolutely fine. And it will always include a mounting kit. So you've got a two-part VESA mounting adapter like ThinkSmart Core and an HDMI dongle with that USB controller in the kit as well, though. So very attractively priced solution for entry-level MTR meeting rooms. And just a close-up on the HDMI ingest dongle. It has a port that should be used because that has a tether lock, so a thumb screw, so you can secure that in permanently. It's not going to get pulled out by accident. So just have a quick look at that on the back of the compute when you receive one of those. The mounting kit, as I mentioned, VESA, two-part mounted bracket with a power supply cage on the back. Go underneath the table, so sort of the mounting part would fix on there, and then you slide in the power supply cage, and then you can affix the compute and power supply cage into the bracket, slide the compute in place, slide the power supply in place. Same can apply when mounting it in a wall or any other creative space you can think of mounting that in there. That's included in the box with the HDMI adapter with the USB controller. ThinkSmart Bar 180, our partnership product for Jabra based on the Panacast 50. Features galore, brilliant for those intelligent meeting rooms and spaces. 180, 180-degree field of view, 3 individual cameras that blend into one nice ultra-wide screen, almost, if you like, view there. It's the variant of the Jabra Panacast 50, but with the ThinkSmart look and feel. It's reskinned with our color scheme, ThinkSmart badges, and it is fully covered by Lenovo 3-year warranty and Premier support, and it's remotely manageable through ThinkSmart Manager. So this graphic on the side here, these are where you would change settings. You can get live view on the camera. You can build presets, configuration peripheral profiles. So if you've got lots of them to deploy, you can create that profile once and then just quickly upload it to that bar, and it will change all the settings accordingly. Intelligent speaker technology, so attribution in meeting rooms, multi-stream dynamic composition for Teams rooms. We talked about that on the previous slide. Does need that USB 3.0 cable, though, very important. An intelligent meeting space feature. So that allows you to limit the framing tracking in 2 dimensions. So basically creating a boundary that the camera will only track within. It will ignore any movement outside of those perimeters. People walking past meeting rooms or just any other motion on there, it will just focus in the boundary limits, if you like, that have been specified in ThinkSmart Manager. And of course, some of the other features, intelligent zooming. It will zoom and frame all the people in the room based on 180-degree field of view. Got virtual director, will frame the active speaker. Dynamic composition, where it will do head and shoulder shots of up to 4 people in the room at the same time. Always on people counting, so that's really important, particularly with ThinkSmart Manager. You can find how many people are coming and going in the meeting at any one time when the call is active. And then live whiteboard streaming, so you can stream to far end for optimized collaboration on there. feature-packed, to say the least. No doubt there'll be even more stuff to come with this great bar. So great combo with either Bar 180, ThinkSmart Core, or the ThinkSmart dock for a bring your own device solution. The recently added features, MTR intelligent speaker. I'm sure we've heard about a lot of that. That is now available on there. And these are just close-up screenshots from inside the ThinkSmart Manager page where you configure the Bar 180. Intelligent meeting space setup. So you can obviously configure it in feet and meters, but most of us operate in meters in EMEA. I certainly operate in both because I was taught both back in school, but meters predominantly. You set your room width and you set your room depth approximately. So this is the framing, tracking, perimeter boundary. And then we've got whiteboard setup. So here, the whiteboard / content camera can be set up there. So we've got left, center, and right, respectively 3 cameras on the Bar 180. And then you've got options for dynamic composition. So it can be off completely, it can be single stream or multi-stream modes. All these can be done for, inside ThinkSmart Manager quickly and easily. So another video. I don't think there's any audio on this one, so I'll just talk over the top of it if I may. So it's just showing the difference between multi-stream camera and multiple simultaneous video streams. So current speaker, previous speaker, and panoramic room view. So really nice to see, the 2 people talking at once, but then you can still get that nice overview of the participants in the room as well. So onto the View Plus, talked briefly about this. It's Microsoft Teams display, all-in-one solution. Lots of different use cases we've gone over many times before in the past, but put shortly, Android compute on the back running Teams. And then you can toggle that mode into a bring your own device, docking station, monitor mode if you like, by the small button on the right-hand side. So USB-C cable into your laptop, same way with the Smart Dock, and then you can output your laptop to the ThinkSmart View Plus, take control of the camera, microphone, speakers, and get touch all down that single cable, plus charging as well. So very flexible device. Still lots of interest on the Microsoft Teams display setup, particularly virtual front desk mode for unattended spaces. So yeah, that's going well in that respect and there. And we'll just see how that progresses. So moving on to that, on Microsoft Teams displays, there was an announcement by Microsoft back in, it was July now, I think it was, so they come up. They announced the end of support for the Microsoft Teams display app. That's going to be in less than a year, September 2025. But they're going to continue to release any patches and important stuff to it. But what this basically means is there'll be no development in future and in new features introduced in the Teams display app. But as it's working now and how it is now, if that works and is sufficient, it will remain that way. They're just going to only if there's a necessary need to push out an emergency patch or something like that to the device, that will come out via an update. But rest assured, there's still going to be the 3-year product life cycle from Lenovo. If you've got devices today, they still remain under support. We'll support them hardware and software-wise as best we can. It's not going to get any new features with the sunsetting of Microsoft Teams display. So questions and answers. So hopefully this will answer any questions you may have. So I'm just going to go through these because it's important to know where it's coming from. This was, it's a Microsoft decision, not Lenovo's decision, but the products are still out there. Obviously, other manufacturers make Teams displays. The same applies to them, but we just want to give a bit of clarity on this. So what happens to the device until September 2025? Will they get any updates? As I mentioned, there are no planned updates for Teams displays in terms of features. What's the plan after September 2025? Critical bug level support. Product and customer support is going to be limited to addressing critical bugs only. No new features will be developed or made available for the part of the Microsoft product cycle release. So it will stay as it is today. Upgrade to Android 13. Well, that's looking to be unlikely because the end of life in September 2025. So there'll be no further certification as part of the Teams display category will be supported. So that means it's going to remain on Android 10 with the version of the Teams display app it has on today. Will they certify Lenovo devices on Android 13 as displays? As mentioned above, that's a no. Will the Teams display still work after September 2025? As per the CPA, Microsoft will make commercially reasonable efforts to maintain compatibility of the Teams service and the most recent version of the app provided by Microsoft for 2 years. So that would take you into 2027. So if you bought a device today, you're going to have 3 years. You're going to have 3 years Lenovo Premier support, warranty and support, and then it will still be covered on there. You're just not going to get any new features and new updates. Warranty outlast end of support. How will Microsoft help? That is as above. So basically, you've got about 3 years from today, but once it's finally going to be like end of service, end of life completely, that's going to be September 2027, so quite a while. Can it still be used in peripheral mode as a touch display with camera and speaker? Yes, of course it can. It can still work as a bring your own device, peripheral docking station monitor, no problem at all. So deflating news, but just want to be clear about this. This is what happens. We have devices on there. They're still going to serve a purpose. There's still plenty of options for them. Don't be put off just because it's not going to get any new features. It's still a very good device as it is today, running that version of the Teams display app. And why not pair it up with a Buzzy Nest? So these are small, purpose-built 2 and 1 person booths, perfectly designed for ThinkSmart View Plus. They have a number of great features. Obviously, acoustic treatment is very important. Power outlets, comfort, the design, the furnishings and stuff like that used in there. These are a great accompaniment for ThinkSmart View Plus. If you're at ISE early in the year and other events we've done around EMEA, we've had the Buzzy Nests on our stands with ThinkSmart View Plus there. Why Buzzy Nest? Sound blocker inside and out. As I mentioned, acoustic treatment, upholstered exterior and interior panels that will dampen the sound, stop reflections, and people won't hear you from outside, and you won't hear people from inside. Customization and add-ons. You've got over 90 high-quality fabrics, so you can pick a color to suit the decor of the space it's going into. You can have shelves, tables, seatings, all sorts of stuff. I mean, compact. The booth occupies 1 to 2 meters squared, and the pod occupies 3 meters squared. So you get 2, maybe 3 people in there. Mobile. So built-in casters help you move the Buzzy Nest around the office at any one time. Just to be sure to unplug the power first before you try and move it. Functional. It's equipped with fresh air ventilation system and LED lighting and a motion sensor and 230 volt and USB sockets and windows on both sides. So comfortable to be in for a amount of time doing your work. And of course, easy installation. This is very important. Buzzy Nest can be installed with only 2 people in maximum of 2.5 hours, depending on the model. Love to see that put to the test. I do like installation challenges where some people quote you could do it in 2 hours. Well, I'd be keen to see if people can do it in quicker or take longer than that. Anyway, so the pod and booth, it's built to order in 6 weeks. As I mentioned, lots of configurable options and stuff on there. We have part numbers down the bottom. Speak to your local account manager for more information about that. Of course, different outlets to match which part of EMEA you might be in. So Europe, UK, or CH, different finishes, lots of different customization options, as I mentioned. So definitely want to check out. Really good for those small huddle spaces and perfectly accompanied with ThinkSmart View Plus or another Lenovo monitor, maybe with Bar 180 or something like that. So just on quickly on the Google Series 1 room kits, we have a new generational refresh of the room kit coming out. So it's the Google Meet Kit 3rd gen, if you like. That's going to be Raptor Lake. We all have the same room sizes. They're going to look the same. There's just going to be a couple of new ports and, of course, an upgraded processor and chipset with the new variant of Google Meet Kit Gen 3 on there. So let's look a little bit closer about that. The hardware refresh is extended to the end of support until H2 2030, so quite a few years to go on the Google Meet kits. Skip support end of September 2024 will be the Gen 2 model, but there will be the new Gen 3, as I mentioned, i5 Raptor Lake. It's got double the memory, Wi-Fi 6E. It will be capable of driving up to 4 displays of 4K 60, and there's a Thunderbolt 4 USB-C port, and more USB ports on there. So more connectivity options and, increased performance, as you'd expect with any generational refresh. First comparison between the two is Gen 2 along the top, single USB-C connector, 5 gig port. We've now got 2 USB-C connectors, and these are video outputs. So the Thunderbolt ports on there. Same HDMI dual outputs as well, and HDMI in-depth as you expect. We have a USB-C peripheral port moved into the middle, and then two USB-A ports in there. Same setup goes for the RJ45 ports on there, PoE ports for peripherals, one main for the LAN as well, and then the same PSU as existing. So base value is the same size, peripherals are the same, and most of the connections are the same, with the exception of the USB ports there, capable of driving higher resolution outputs on the displays. Moving on, Lenovo ThinkVision T-Series. Just a quick note on our large format interactive displays, or ILFD, as we like to call them internally. So T-Series, if you haven't seen them before or was aware of them, we do large format displays, 65, 75, and 86 inches. They're 4K resolution, so 1340, 2860 UHD, 400 nits of brightness, 20-point touch, built-in compute that runs an Android OS, so you can have some apps on there and stuff like that. It's a great bring your own device solution, single USB-C cable in, or you can use it with any of our room systems and have it as your front of room display, or even dual displays if you wish to do so. So we have introduced in a recent software update why adding a non-OS mode. So what you can do is basically turn off the Android OS and just make it a sort of a regular display where you just see the inputs and you don't see any home screen of the Android OS. Reason being, some customers don't like the Android system. They don't want to see a different, additional operating systems on displays, on meeting room walls and stuff like that. They might have its own meeting console solution, or the users only need it as a large display for bring your own devices scenario. So we will support two modes for our LFD products. That's full OS mode, with a full preload of the functions of the Android OS, or non-OS mode, which will just be display inputs only. So regular display, if you like, on there. Nice little feature. We listen for feedback that comes back on these products. It's important to, address these where best we can. So that option will be available very soon. Just a quick comparison between full OS and non-OS. Apps, OTA updates, network, hotspots, ILFD configuration. But then when it's in non-OS mode, you're going to get those OTA updates. Of course, Android apps will not be visible. You're not going to see this home screen. You're going to see loads of icons and stuff like that. But network will only be on when it's an OTA updates. Otherwise, hotspot and ILFD configure, and that's still working as well on there. Now, moving next into ThinkSmart Manager, I'm going to cover a couple of topics on there. So let's move without further ado. Quick time check. We're doing okay. So remote access, ThinkSmart Manager versus the Pro Management Portal. A few months back, Pro Management Portal introduced remote access into Microsoft Teams rooms. We've been doing it for ages in ThinkSmart Manager with Intel vPro. So let's talk of the benefits of that Manager versus with Intel vPro. We can access during meetings as well. In the Pro Management Portal, if a meeting is not active, you won't be able to remotely connect to it. With vPro, you can. In case of sign-in issues, you've still got access. It's vPro. It doesn't matter what's going on with the Teams app, with the Windows, you can access that device remotely with software KVM. Keyboard, mouse, and front room displays, they will always be visible. Single, dual monitors, and your controller connected to the computer as well. All visible with vPro. You've got terminal access for those of you that like a bit of command line. That can be done. Reboot commands, hibernate, sleep, whatever we want to do. And then independent access is independent of the operating system. So we can do BIOS access via the hardware KVM. Benefits of Pro Management Portal, ongoing session notifications, red frame around displays. And in ThinkSmart Manager, it's available in the hardware KVM only. And it's very granular role-based access controls as well. But, there's pros and cons to everything, but certainly vPro is the best way to access devices remotely. So accessing BIOS on ThinkSmart Core with the hardware KVM. It's going to let this video play out. It's a YouTube video, and this will just show on how you can use ThinkSmart Manager to go into the BIOS settings of your compute. So I'm going to be quiet for a second and let the video play. So just going to point out, we have two windows open, as you can see. One of them is connected software KVM and one is connected hardware KVM. This code that's being entered now will appear on the front of room display in the meeting room. You need to see that security feature. It's not going to broadcast it across the network. You need to capture that 6-digit code to get access to the out-of-band management BIOS via Intel vPro and ThinkSmart Manager. So you see now, we're starting on the left-hand side, software in band. I'm going to go into the Windows Administrator account in a second. Logging into admin. Stay like. Now we're in here. Going to move into settings. Recovery. Advanced startup. I'm going to reboot now. Video still running. There we go. And on the right-hand side window now, you can just see that slowly connecting. Unless I press pause. Oh, it's still running. There we go. Okay, full screen. You can see a bit better now. And that familiar blue screen. So we can go into not blue screen of death, but blue screen of BIOS access and troubleshooting options. So if you go to the UEFI firmware settings, click on that, hit restart. Go. 2 more minutes, not 2 minutes. Seconds left on this video. So we don't want to wait 8 minutes. And there we go. BIOS accessed via ThinkSmart Manager out of band hardware KVM. Do all the settings you want. And then when you're finished, F10, save and exit, and it will boot back into Windows. So really powerful, really useful for anyone, admins, administrative devices. They might need to change anything or maybe reprovision vPro or something like that. It can be done from there, super easy. So all done from ThinkSmart Manager. Let's go back to that video. So using the wait command on the vPro page. So when systems are unresponsive and stuck at launching Windows, look as disconnected in ThinkSmart Manager, Teams Admin Console, or the Pro Management Portal, there's still a chance you can resurrect the system remotely with vPro. Wake can be used in the following scenarios. Wake a device that is sleeping, or power on a device that has been shut down. vPro, well, the vPro tab is a wake command. So let's dig in and how does it work? So obviously in ThinkSmart Manager, click on the vPro tab and General, and you can see it's at the top there. 2 different remote capabilities. So Sierra and Wake on LAN. Which one is used depends on whether the device is Sierra connected or not. You'll see that little kind of icon lit green when the Sierra is connected. Client-initiated remote access. For those that didn't know what Sierra was, I must admit I've heard of it before, but I wouldn't been able to recall it without reading that slide. But it's a hardware-level connection between the device, CPU, and the cloud using Intel AMT. If the connection is established, it's a very reliable way to remotely wake a device. I've used this before. I've been out to a customer meeting. I forgot to turn on my compute back in my lab. I wanted to do a vPro demo onto my device. I used Sierra. I was able to wake the device remotely, connected to my phone, a couple of 100 miles away. Very, very useful in that respect. It's connected when and established during the vPro provisioning process. That happens when a device is claimed to ThinkSmart Manager the first time. There can be some limitations and pitfalls though related to Sierra. Hub 500, our legacy device is 6 years old. Unfortunately, that's not supported. TLS version in the AMT firmware has been depreciated. But for all other vPro-enabled room systems, ThinkSmart Core, ThinkSmart Hub, ThinkSmart One, it will work absolutely fine. Only works with the Intel onboard Ethernet. Has to be wired, won't work over Wi-Fi. And third-party Ethernet is not supported, so any USB dongles and stuff like that needs to be that Ethernet port on the motherboard. Serial connection can be lost for a variety of reasons. Device has been reclaimed in ThinkSmart Manager, so it might need to be re-established, or the device has had reprovisioning done. That can be done in BIOS as well. So the Wake on LAN, it's very familiar, probably for everyone here. It's a magic packet, been doing it forever. Device sends a magic packet to a device that's asleep or off, and it will wake it up. Limitations of this cannot be passed through a router. Therefore, a device can only be woken when the magic packet is sent by another device on the same subnet. So all devices got to be on the same subnet. Operating system and hardware must be configured to act on the magic packet. So these can be sometimes disabled, there might be group policies stopping it and stuff like that on there. So there's these things to take into consideration. The screenshot there, vPro details on that is a device is not serial connected. So you see that is not illuminated green that we saw on the shot. And there are 0 nearby provisioned vPro connected endpoints on this device's subnet. Therefore, using the wake on this device will have no effect. See, no nearby endpoints because it will use that to send it through if it's on the same subnet. Zero disconnected, so you can't wake that device. You've got to go and power it on manually. So conclusions and limitations. Most real-world ThinkSmart Manager tenants, magic packet is basically useless. And typically devices want them all the time. Serial, though, is more useful, but not all devices are serial connected. But typically, you've got them up and they're connected, everything's happy, but no changes being made. They will stay that way. But if you want to be able to make them remotely, let's focus on getting them serial connected first. So check out that on the general tab of vPro settings. But we cannot schedule any of these wake up commands or bulk send wake devices in ThinkSmart Manager at the moment. So you have to do it on each one individually. So important to know that one, but still very useful for when you need it. But the majority of the time, these meeting room systems, they are going to be on and just functioning 24/7. So let's jump into some new MTR features. I think, yeah, Mara's going to be up next with tips and tricks. So MTR multi-camera, very exciting. This is rolling out in the update that's planned for next month, hopefully. See that gradually get rolled out across October. Teams rooms on Windows will support up to 4 single stream cameras that will be shown to remote meeting attendees. With multiple camera view, remote meeting attendees will have the ability to follow all of the action in the room and manually toggle between views from the room where they want to see. So they can get their own feeds how they want it. That's going to be really cool. Looking forward to this one. So this is just a kind of indication of how it's set up there. You can see the presenters, but then on the far end, you can pick your feed that you want to see and you want to see who's talking. There might be some questions coming in from around there. So that's going to be an exciting one. Multi-camera view settings. So in the MTR settings page, under peripherals, you've got this multi-camera view. Once you toggle it on, select camera 2 and camera 3. So you can have up to 3 cameras for multi-view. You can preview them like you do normally, or you can remove the cameras if you've got even more cameras than that connected to the MTR. PEC SIP based meeting one-touch join from MTRs. So PEC SIP's been around a long time. It's an interop platform, cloud-based, that allows you to connect to pretty much any platform you wish to do so. It's simplified SIP meeting with one-touch join with MTR. So obviously you would need a PEC SIP license for that MTR and get it enrolled. Microsoft has added support for one-touch join to join SIP-enabled meetings using PEC SIP. That's set up. You might be doing a GoToMeeting or WebEx or something like that on there. You can have that nice one-touch join button, and then it's going to do all the interop in the cloud, and you can see support is just pretty much covers everything you would need in that instance to be able to make calls from your Teams rooms to many different platforms and many different SIP HD323 legacy devices should you need to do so. So really cool that that's been enabled. Of course, all our room systems support that, and that Microsoft added support for one-touch join is now available now as well. Really cool. So in Teams rooms, you can see on here, there's the SIP calling experience. Banging in long IP addresses and call URLs and stuff like that. But then, of course, you get your nice single button join experience. So nice and easy to use there. Here's the overview. I won't go too deep into this, but big advantages from using PEC SIP over direct guest join. Just look at guest join, single screen. Dual screen's not going to come up too much. Content sharing, limited. All right, it doesn't require any additional purchase plans, but it's very limited feature set, limited video resolution, doesn't support in-room content sharing, blah, 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 single screen. Probably know all that from Guest Join. Benefits of Pexip Connect, multiple screens with people and content, in-room screen sharing using HDMI ingest cables into the room systems, quicker, reliable meet and join experience. But it requires a purchase plan, but it's very attractive. And certainly if you need that cross-platform collaboration on different devices doing the interop, Pexip is a great way to go with Teams rooms on Windows. I'm going to be quiet for a minute and drink the rest of my coffee and now hand over to Mauro, who is going to take you through some tips and tricks. I'll be back afterwards.
Thanks a lot,
Over to you, Mauro.
Sean.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. So as usual in the technology clubs, we want to share with you some tips and tricks. So what are we going to talk about today? First of all, a trick to remotely re-image a Microsoft Teams Room device. So the capability of installing from scratch a new software image for any problem that may happen remotely has been a request from you and from customers for a long time. Lenovo is working to provide an easy way to do that. Probably in January, February, we should have the proper solution. But in the meantime, you can achieve exactly what you are looking for with a trick. The trick is based on reusing a very solid and well-known feature inside ThinkSmart Manager. It's a basic feature, so there is no need to have a premium license associated to the device. The only requirement is that it works only on Microsoft Teams Room devices. You know that the UC flexibility that is based on that pencil icon that you may find inside the information tab in ThinkSmart Manager allows to move an MTR to Zoom, so from an MTR to Zoom Room, and then you can switch back and forth anytime you want. The only requirement is that the starting device must be a Microsoft Teams Room version of a Lenovo ThinkSmart device. But if that is the case, the trick is basically to move an MTR to Zoom and then wait 30-40 minutes maximum and then switch it back to Microsoft Teams Room. Because when ThinkSmart Manager is reconfiguring the system, it is basically installing a new fresh ISO image on the system. And so at the moment, the idea is that you need to switch to a Zoom Room image to be able to switch back to a fresh, new, clean MTR image. So that is, let's say, a procedure that does not require any local intervention of anybody, can be done remotely, of course, out of business hours. And in 60-70 minutes, more or less, you can do the software re-image. Moving on, just a little clarification about the ThinkSmart Manager client that is running on the device. All the ThinkSmart Manager devices have a ThinkSmart Manager client running on it. Please be aware that it doesn't matter whether the customer is using ThinkSmart Manager, the service, that is the cloud-based service, or not. In any case, the ThinkSmart Manager client is running on the device, and it is doing several things. So it's extremely important that regardless of whether the customer is using ThinkSmart Manager or not, the ThinkSmart Manager client is up to date. The updates are completely automatic. So by default, the updates are taking place out of business hours. Of course, if the customer is using ThinkSmart Manager, for each device, there is an update tab where you can define the business hours. Otherwise, it's like exactly as you can see. So from 6 p.m. or between 6 p.m. and 7 a.m. The following day. The only real requirement to make sure that without doing anything, the ThinkSmart Manager client is always up to date is to allow a couple of destinations if you are using a stringent firewall or web proxy to protect the customer network. And the two destinations are on port 443, so they are using HTTPS, download.lenovo.com and filedownload.lenovo.com. If those destinations are open, there is nothing to do. Everything will be automatic. Sorry, I switched. Yeah, this slide looks messy, but it's simply a summary of the latest version of the firmware, BIOS, applications that, of course, you may find in Lenovo support, but as you can see, most of them are distributed through Windows Update. Unfortunately, with the naming that is not corresponding to the naming that is used in Lenovo support. But for example, if we take a look at the BIOS, the new version of the ThinkSmart Core 1 and Hub BIOS firmware are delivered through Windows updates with this naming 1.0.0. something. Basically, BIOS updates are following security vulnerability that are published, so public CVEs, and we maintain always the BIOS firmware in line with any vulnerability that is discovered. Also, the graphic driver, the Intel graphic driver for the ThinkSmart Core has been updated in July and has been distributed through Windows Update. It's important because there was a problem with the previous version of the Intel graphic, causing some issues in some cases in terms of wake up, standby and wake up, and flickering of the front of room display. For the Intel management, there has been in April an update. It's important because sometimes the Pro Management portal may indicate a vulnerability associated to a specific Intel management client, and it's important to keep the Intel management firmware always up to date to avoid this kind of warning from Endpoint Defender and the Pro Management portal. Then we had updates for the Ethernet and the Wi-Fi connectivity. At least the naming for the Intel case, it's straightforward. For the camera, and so we are talking about the ThinkSmart camera, but also the ThinkSmart One embedded camera, we had Windows updates that improved the sharpness, so quite important. Let's talk now about the rotation app. The rotation app, unfortunately, is the only firmware that is not distributed through Windows Update. Now, it's been almost a year that all the devices coming out of the Lenovo factory have the rotation app pre-installed. But in case you have very old devices, then it's important that you manually update the rotation app by downloading from Lenovo support the rotation app. There is only one version, version 1. And to know whether you are affected by that issue, since the rotation app is fixing the hidden me pop-up, so it's very easy to understand whether you are affected. You access the system as a Windows administrator. As soon as you log in, there will be two command prompt or command Windows that will open, and if the system is running the proper rotation the app, then immediately those two windows will disappear. If they do not disappear and you have to click to close those two windows, then you need to install the rotation app manually. Then there are the clients. The ThinkSmart Manager client, as I said, it's automatically updated. The latest version is 24.7. The CAM control application, that is the tool, it's a Windows desktop application that you can install on the Microsoft Teams room to set our cameras, so ThinkSmart Cam, ThinkSmart One camera, ThinkSmart Bar 180, if you are not using ThinkSmart Manager. So if you're using ThinkSmart Manager, all the camera settings can be performed remotely through ThinkSmart Manager. If you are not using ThinkSmart Manager, you need to install on the MTR or Zoom Room that CAM control application to perform exactly the same settings that you would perform in ThinkSmart Manager. The latest version, it's been launched a few days ago. It's 24.8, and it supports all the features Sean was talking about: intelligent meeting spaces, whiteboard, multi-stream, and so on. The last one in this list is the MTR plugin. The MTR plugin is it's sometimes called the second page of the Microsoft Teams Room user interface, and allows the user in the meeting room to click on the room control icon, and then inside a meeting, so during a meeting, to temporarily change the configuration of the camera. At the moment, the cameras that are supported are only the ThinkSmart Cam and the ThinkSmart One camera. We are working to do the same also on the Bar 180. And in that case, you can, for example, enable or disable the AI functionality in terms of automatic zooming, framing, tracking, and so on, and play with the PTZ and move the camera. When the meeting is over, then the configuration of the camera will return to the default configuration that the administrator has defined. So this MTR plugin requires a manual update, but very soon, I mean in a couple of months, we will introduce a mechanism inside the ThinkSmart Manager to remotely install and maintain, meaning handling also the updates of the MTR plugin completely remotely. A couple of other two little tips and tricks. So we said BIOS, as any firmware, is automatically updated through Windows Update. However, Windows Update is working on a window of 3-4 weeks And unless you are using the Pro Management Portal, where you have strict control on the sequence of the updates, otherwise you are not really in control of the timing of the updates. So there may be customers who want to force, for example, the BIOS update through Intune. And the mechanism is a well-known mechanism that is used for any Windows machine, so usually laptops, PC, and so on. And it's documented in a page, in a specific page that is listed here. The mechanism is quite straightforward. You download the firmware executable file from Lenovo support, the BIOS executable file, and then there is a tool to translate that file into the Intune Win format. You upload that converted file to Intune, and through Intune you can push that file. What is important is that while setting that procedure, the ThinkSmart Manager devices require those two very important parameters in the installation command, very silent and quite flash. Otherwise, the BIOS update will not occur automatically. So there will be need for manual intervention on the device. Last tip, that is a temporary tip here, is because unfortunately the latest two versions of the Microsoft Teams Room in some devices were affected by a problem with the virtual keyboard. So anytime locally on the device you need to enter a field, enter characters, you should immediately see the virtual keyboard popping up. In some cases, it does not happen. And Microsoft has promised to fix that issue in the next MTR application version, 5.2. something. But in the meantime, if you have devices affected by this issue, please note that there is a workaround that is described here. It's a matter of adding and setting a specific registry key. And that's it in terms of tips and tricks. Sean, you want to carry on, or do you want me to?
Yes. Hi, I'll carry on, Maro. Sorry, I was just trying to regain control from you.
Good.
No, it's always there we go. Right, back. Yes. Thank you very much. Great tips and tricks. As always, very useful. BIOS deployment via Intune. I think that's a good one. Definitely to have a go at some point on there. But last and by no means least, final chapter for today. A few minutes remaining. We just want to cover off the best practice for engaging with Lenovo Premier support. So let's get on the slides. Try again. There we go. Tips. No ticket, no problem. But please always open a ticket for any issue. I still encounter it quite a lot. The three of us in EMEA, we are not Premier support. We're, of course, here to help and stuff like that, but our roles as technical consultants is very much on the pre-sales side of things. Premier support are set up to help all that post-sales aftercare. And most importantly, they have a database. Tickets get logged on the database. They can see if there's issues, wider issues, and correlating between the others. We don't have access to that. So reporting incidents to us, it doesn't result in a ticket being created. You need to do that yourself, but more steps on that in the slide in a minute. Most important thing, you've got the serial number for the device or the devices in question, and any case numbers you may have if the ticket has already been opened up. Ask for user who can access the compute or who's got access to the admin account and can follow troubleshooting steps. very important. Provide information for the contact person and the customer end, because sometimes you might have tickets being opened on behalf of somebody. It might be a partner, a reseller doing it, an integrator on behalf of their customer. Get as much information in there as possible, because Premier Support need to be able to reach out to someone in most cases to do some troubleshooting and triage steps. Of course, that result means a level of cooperation is required from the customer themselves. We want to help to get it working, but if you can't answer calls and can't, assist the Premier Support operative to do any steps on there, I've just seen a note pop up in the chat there. I will show you that in a second, how to open a ticket. So stand by, it's on the slide coming up next. Premier Support technical teams, we endeavour to progress the investigation as swiftly as possible. Of course, things come in, they have timer counters and stuff like that in Premier Support. They know what tickets need addressing and when. They're incident-based and not account-based. So when the incidents come in, based on that and not, it doesn't, that's an account that's going to get priority over another. No, they're incident-based. You need to escalate. You need to engage with your sales manager and or your help desk team. We can escalate tickets, but that's based on specific criteria that will get escalated up the chain. But it needs to be engaged via the right people first. Sales manager, help desk team can't just send a ticket and say, I want this escalated. Got to have specific information about that. We want to set expectations on the support and the parts replacement repair. Re-imaging is a self-service. We showed a great method to do it on ThinkSmart Manager. Don't even need to touch the compute. You can do it remotely using the UC swap feature. But if you're going to do the full re-image using a USB stick, you need to do it yourself. You've got to plug the USB into your computer. Premier Support help desk, they are different from professional services. This is through ThinkSmart Start or purchase separately. So it's a wider team covering all of that. But let's drill in a bit deeper onto that. So do not expect fleet replacements. The role of the service is to investigate the root cause and facilitate a software or hardware solution repair. That is step one of the triaging. Site visits by Lenovo staff as a default means the resolution before troubleshooting. On-site install, rewire and re-image dismount, and then RMAs on demand. So do not expect any of this. Site visits, on-site installs, RMAs. But when opening the ticket, please have the following details ready. Serial number as mentioned, BIOS, OS, all this stuff can be pulled very easily off the compute. MTR app version. Case of audio-visual issues, third-party products or own whatever, you need to know what peripherals are connected to the device that can help troubleshoot that. Steps that you've already taken to get to the point of opening up the ticket. Might have done some reboots, might have done this and that, check Windows updates, whatever. Is there any software that's been loaded on the device? Is it domain joined? And then mention if the device was recently added or removed from a domain. Has the compute got, and is it being managed by any group policy objects? Is it in a specific OU? All these things can be relevant to MTRs and very important for the support team technicians to know where it's at. And as if the device has been re-imaged recently, the majority of issues are fixed by a re-image. I'm not saying it's the first thing you should do, but the majority of issues are software related, just quirks that can happen in the Windows, Teams, Zoom world, but a re-image will resolve the majority of them very easily. Also, please leverage the ThinkSmart Start. If you bought a device, you're entitled to ThinkSmart Start first year maintenance. That is on top of Premier Support services you've got on there. So this includes and not limited to re-imaging, firmware updates, BIOS, component level updates, UC account setup, Teams update issues, network connectivity, Windows issues. The support agent will solve the problem or request the parts replacement if needed. So this is a professional services team helping you with the deploy side of things and the maintenance side of things on there. Please use it. It's included with our devices. If there's any issues setting up there, they're on hand to help. So how do you get access to this support? So we might have covered this a few technology clubs ago, but first place to go to is support.lenovo.com. Then you can click on the smart icon and that will take you to smartsupport.lenovo.com. All of our devices are under the smart collaboration category, tab, icon, whatever you want to call it. When you click on that there, you'll see the sub-series, and that is every product from Google Meet kits, Zoom rooms, Teams rooms, peripherals, all that stuff is covered on there. Then it might ask for the machine type of that particular compute. This information is on the silver sticker on the underside of the compute or on the box. And then once you're logged into that page, it will give you these categories down the side, which you can choose from. All of this you can just do just with a few clicks following that on screen now. How to open a ticket? First thing, serial number. Put that serial number in that page. Doesn't matter if you're on a ThinkSmart One page or ThinkSmart Hub or something like that. As soon as that serial number is ingested by the website, it's going to know the product. It's going to know the warranty status. It's going to show if there's any tickets already outstanding, all that information about it. Then click on Contact Us. This will take you to this page here. This is different ways you can contact Premier Support for Smart Collaboration. Submit a new ticket. You can check repair status, call, warranty status, all that good stuff. On the next one, if you click submit a new ticket, it will take you to this screen. You're going to have local phone numbers available in your area, and this is the phone number for the Premier Support for Smart Collaboration guys. You're going to get routed directly to them because the serial number of a smart collaboration device has been associated with this ticket request. But of course, alternatively, you could do e-tickets. There's different languages spoken in different regions depending on where you're calling from. Obviously, we've got a worldwide level of support for all of our devices on there. And then, oh yeah, sorry, there's the last supply. Once that's done, Premier Support will take over and they will address those issues as quickly as they can and hope to get you up and running in no time at all. Of course, this information is going to be contained within the slides that we send out afterwards. As you've already seen, that is the end of Technology Club for this month in September. A couple of things to point out that are going on next month in EMEA. Two big events. UCX in London. That's on the 2nd to 3rd of October. We will be there on the Lenovo booth. And then even bigger and even better is GITEX in Dubai. That is the 14th to the 18th of October. So I'm sure there's a couple other smaller events going on at that time, but these are the two big events where you can expect to see us guys on the stand talking non-stop for 2 or 3 days or even longer if it's a GITEX. But it'd be great to come by, see us, check out the new ThinkSmart edition of the dock or the MTR Tiny or other products that are available on there. Thank you very much to everyone for joining us today. It's been a pleasure. As you can see, the next Technology Club will be in December. So about 3 months' time, we'll have more exciting topics, overviews, tips and tricks, best practices and stuff like that. But until then, any questions, please reach out to Jean, Mauro or myself on there. We will follow up with a link to the recording and the slides presented in today's Technology Club. Thank you again for your time. We'll see you on the next one. All the best from the three of us. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.